Slow
It's
is the hack.
slows the fast. The slow way is the fast way, and it's the anti-inflammatory.
Mm. Hello, and welcome to your Soul of Life podcast, where I talk about or share conversations around your soul's life in the everyday. So, are we living from the space of our soul, from our truth in our everyday? How does that show up? And today, I am having conversation about the fall, and I'm here with the lovely Savitri Kaur, writer at Substack's Food as Medicine, and this is a wonderfully nourishing Substack. So it's perfect to have you here, Savitri. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, thanks for having me.
And I didn't say I'm Anna Sachkaret with Central Soul Mama. So I'm excited to invite everyone into this conversation. This is something we call the fall check-in, and it's something that Savitri and I have been doing together for the last couple of years. And we wanted to invite everyone else in who finds us here to get a little taste of what this is like. And this is all about really coming into the season in a way that is nourishing, healing, and powerful for each of us. So, um, thank you for joining us, Savitri. Let's talk.
Yes. Okay, so
Yes.
here we are, fall, and we're both in Chicago, and we just got the fall weather, actually. It's been it's we the weather's been generous with us with the summer, and we're just getting it now. And for me, it's great because I have a lot of what we call pitta, that causes me to feel a great relief in having this coolness happen. And so, what is fall? And why do we check in? It's because each time the seasons change. I mean, if we think about even agriculture or farming, we follow the seasons because they bring new things, new chapters within that year, right? And so with that comes new thoughts, emotions, activity, and all those things. In the fall, goes back. Kids go back to school, and there's a little bit more hustle, activities begin again, that kind of thing. And that is, it correlates to the season as well. So in the summer, we have this heat, right? Generally. And we have this heat and we just move more slowly in general because the heat slows us down. I mean, if you just really look at it that way, the light, it's lighter, longer. So now here we are in the fall. What happens? The characters of fall is it starts to cool, right? The weather starts to temper a little bit and we get a little bit less sun. It gets shorter and shorter. The days get shorter and shorter. And the winds pick up a little bit. You kind of start to feel the breeze. And when you think about that, when you think about cool and movement, all right, you move faster, you move more, right? And if you put those elements together, then rather than if you can think about it this way, like the fall weather, it's drier, right? It's dry, and
Yeah.
when you think about cool and um, windy or breezy, then there's movement, and it's cold, it's dry, and just it's just things pick up, right? And so then it's also spacey. Those are what in Ayurveda we call vata elements. Like vata is air and space. And so then it creates more of that in us. So if we're already like that in general, then we want to pay extra attention to this shift from summer to fall. Because in summer, it kind of stabilizes us a little bit. It's like that opposite balancing us out, right? The heat
Right.
with our tendency to get cold. Now, we have a tendency to get cold and it's getting cooler and windier, you know, then you're gonna start to feel that um you can't you just can't warm up, Like that
Right.
cold comes through you and you just can't shake it off. And if you tend to get dry, you're going to start to get drier, right? If you tend to be anxious, you're going to get more anxious. You're going to get more spacey. You may even feel like your memory isn't that great this season. All these things kind of happen because it's aggravating what you already have. It's adding on top of that. So just in thinking of that, then what can you do to balance it out?
Yes.
So then you want to have, like, if we're talking about food, you want to have food then that's going to be warming, grounding, moist. Not a great time to have cereal or granola, just like munching on granola, or bread or toast, if you already have these things in abundance, because you want to, because toast, if you think about it, and cereal and granola, they're dry.
Yeah.
They kind of reflect this weather, and so you want to something else that reflects something else. So that reflect the opposite. Soups and stews and things that are warm and slow cooked. The winds pick up, it's more rapid, there's more hustle in the season. You want the balance of a slow cooked meal, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And actually, it's really fun to listen to you talk like this, because when we think about food, and by the way, I don't think I mentioned earlier that, throughout this podcast, throughout this conversation, we are going to talk about food and movement and mindset as it relates to this season, to really help to heal and move us through the season in a very powerful, positive way, in a more nourishing way to our well-being. And so, as you're talking about Ayurveda, what I love about Ayurveda is that it is really so aligned. It is about nature, right? And how we align in nature, because we are nature. And it's not always easy to understand. So when I listen to you talk about the Vata energy and the Pitta energy and what that means, the wind, the drying, um, just for a moment, can you flash back and give me, contrast that with like summer? Like, that is heat, and what is that experience, that in terms of food, how we think about that?
Yeah, I mean the heat is a lot of sun. Like it's there's here we had 90-degree weather a lot this summer.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
remember that correctly. And it was pretty sunny. We get sun in Chicago, at least this summer we did. I know there might be other parts of the world where, it's, often cloudy, but here we get sun and we get a lot of heat. And so when you're walking outside, it's very hard to walk at a brisk pace. Easier actually if you're Vata, because now you're just loving life. You're already leaning cold, and this heat just brings you out. You're balanced now. You're like, ooh, this is great. I have
Ah.
a friend who has so much Vata that when we get into the car in the middle of summer, okay, and you know how hot and like the oven, it's like stepping into an oven for me, getting into a hot car that's been sitting outside underneath the sun, not in a cool garage.
Mm.
And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like the door opens, you can already feel the steams of heat coming up. And my friend who's got so much Vata in her, she's like, oh, wait, I love this. She's like, it's so great. And I'm like, are you insane? Because it's balancing her out for me, because I already have so much heat within. It
Mm.
just, it takes me a little, it makes me feel a little bit off kilter, right? Like I need all the windows open, get all this out of here. I can't step in for a couple of minutes and let's turn the air on really high, that kind of thing. So that's the kind of thing. Um, and it does naturally slow you down just because of that, the heat,
Yeah.
unless you're inside with the air conditioning on and it's on really cold, then that's different. But if you're just talking about nature and just outdoors,
Yes.
it does slow you down. And so then you are, you know, you can get away with having, like, this is the time when we have, watermelon, melons, just cold, and enjoy ice cream. Yeah, so summer would be, because it's so hot,
Hmm.
and it adds that pitta element to it. Hot pitta is heat, right?
Okay.
And water, so it's also a little bit moist. And so like it would it so it it's the time where you can where we would have melons and where we can enjoy a little bit of ice cream
Mm,
and raw salads because those are cold, they're raw, you know,
they
these
bring in
kind of
water
things,
too.
they bring in that something that we may need, especially if you have a lot of heat. But you
Mhm.
gotta just, just in moderation, because cold isn't, that's a whole other thing, isn't that great for your digestion. So you
Yeah.
don't want to be just chugging down ice everything, which we tend to do, especially in the summers. We just get iced everything and we're just chugging it down, even ice water, and like, and all of that. And so just with the caveat that it's in moderation and you got to be careful while we could choose more cooling things that uh, too much cold, especially when you're chugging, like that rapid cold is just really terrible for your digestion, no matter what the season is. So
Mm.
if we're stepping back into, so hopefully that's a good contrast between summer.
Yeah, and it also the idea of like it slowing us down. Like this is why we want to go sit on the beach and just like, sip our lemonade or whatever and just relax and chill during the summer, and we feel like this is the time to do it because it is the time to do it. So now contrasting that with like what you described, kind of the hustle bustle of, and the wind and like the movement that's happening in the fall. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about fall foods because I
Yes.
know we talked a little bit about that, the whole ice thing too. So if anyone is interested in that, you can look back at an earlier podcast that we had about the summer. I just wanted to bring in a little bit of that contrast because not everyone may be familiar with these words, vata, pitta, and kapha, which you haven't mentioned too much. Um, in Ayurveda. And also, I know Savitri in her Food as Medicine has a lot of conversation about that. So please look there if you want more about those doshas, as they're called. Right? Doshas?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
talking about that, and the reason why we bring that in
Yeah.
is because, and before I just go into the food, I want to talk a little bit about that balance. I
Okay.
am not, there's this thing out there about, oh, you should have a balanced life. And I'm not really that cheerleader for a balanced life. Like, oh, just balance everything, like all the things that you do in your life, every aspect of your life. That's not necessarily what I'm advocating for. I advocate for a balanced internal system, like balance internally. So we're talking about what we're talking about right now. So if
Right.
it's cold outside, um, then, and if you already lean cold, then you need to balance that out with
Yep.
warm up your body. And if the season is speeding up like it is now, and you have a tendency to have this vata, like walk fast, talk fast, do everything fast, 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 then it's a time to then balance that out internally and just slow things down internally. Okay, it's
Mm.
internal balance we're talking about, because the internal balance then allows us to feel balanced. Okay.
Right. You were
As human
describing as like
beings.
you and your friend
Mhm.
handling the heat differently.
Yes.
And it's about finding your balance. And actually, this is a great place to really also to notice that in yourself, right? Um, to recognize that if you are bothered and you're like, you're dragged down by that heat, that may actually indicate to you that you have a lot of pitta. So you don't even have to worry about so much trying to find the book to figure out your words, is just really feel in and sense
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, books are helpful to guide you,
Yes, for
but
sure.
really, it's just really just finding this by looking in and just and checking in with yourself. And why this balance is so important is when you feel internally, then your body, by having internal balance, your body natural healing uh, powers are activated. Okay.
Mm.
And when that's activated, that not only balances you internally, physically, but also mentally, emotionally, spiritually, everything. And then if you choose, and that's the argument about having a balanced life, if you choose to just not have that kind of what they call a balance and just be passionate and obsessive over the work that you do because you just something is driving you and calling you to do it, then all of those things can work for you, but not when you're not in balance internally. If your stomach, if you're not in balance internally, you're cold, you're uncomfortable, you're insecure, your stomach hurts, and you're kind of starting to go like this, and it's very hard to then be out here and to live the life that you want to live. And so the balance really that I'm advocating for is internal balance, the physiological balance that we're looking for.
Yes.
On that note,
Which is personal.
yes, it is. It's very personal to you, and only you know if you're feeling that. Really, no one else can tell you. You're the one that really knows. I mean, other people can probably sense it, but
Right.
you can definitely know. So food, this would be the time, and especially if you are leaning vata, leaning cold, leaning, just you're just already someone who walks fast and talks fast, and yeah, and also if you learn fast but forget fast. I mean, think about all those things,
Yes.
then it's a time to just kind of curb the iced anything, the raw salads, and stop trying to speed through the kitchen, and just do the minimal, like all those things. This is the time where we can pull out the stuff that's going to really balance that out. So the earth gives us the balance. Okay. It gives us the squashes. This is a time that it's abundant in the grocery stores, like kombucha squash, spaghetti squash, acorn squash, butternut squash, all those things. You can bake them, you can turn them into soups, and you can take the seeds and you can bake the seeds and make seeds out, like just, they're really, really good stuff. So all of those things are there. And it's time to think slow cook, slow cook, slow cook, slow cook. Okay. Not a quick toast and run out. Okay. That's going to aggravate you in this season. Okay. And then and it's going to cause you to feel more like, oh my God, I just can't warm up, that kind of thing. And I just can't feel grounded. So the three things that I want to talk about today that's actually really simple is two of them take probably like 5 to 10 minutes to make them. Okay. One of them takes longer because we need that slow cook. And it's that one I've been talking about a lot lately. The first is a drink, and it's called Golden Milk. And you're drinking that now.
Yes.
It's super easy to make. I used to batch make them, and it's super easy to make, just 1 cup at a time. We just take like just take a little bit of turmeric. What's the amount that I have here?
I think
you take 1 cup of any kind of milk that you want. You can have regular milk, just choose whole. That's a whole other thing. If you're going to do regular milk, just do the whole milk. And if not, then choose a plant-based milk. I use almond milk.
Yep.
Okay. And always look at the ingredients. There are many options at the store. Use the one with the least amount of ingredients. It should just say almonds and water, basically. Okay. You don't need all the other stuff. And then with that, start with a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. And put it together, heat it up. I like to froth it. You can then finish it with some cardamom. Cardamom can be a little cooling, but with this, it's totally fine. Cinnamon, nutmeg, a twitch or two of the cracked peppercorn, that kind of stuff. Super good, super easy. It's great for your joints, your inflammation, and actually, speaking of inflammation, because this is something that people that are looking for something anti-inflammatory, everyone always thinks turmeric. This is a powerful turmeric drink. If you can handle more than a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, you can add more in there. You start with a 1/4 just to see, because not everyone, when it gets
likes the taste,
likes it that strong.
Yeah.
You can start there. And as it relates to anti-inflammatory, not only is turmeric good for that, but we're talking about the season of slowing down. slowing down is anti-inflammatory.
Yeah. And actually, when I think about making warming up milk,
Mhm.
you usually don't, like when I warm up water, I just put the water on, I turn it on, and I wait for it to boil. But like with the milk, like it can form the little skin on the top. So like I actually sit with it and will like stir it. And then of course, if you're adding turmeric, you're storing that in. That also feels like a little slowing down, like, okay, just stop for a moment and be with the heating up of the milk. It
Yeah.
doesn't take long. But it just
Yeah.
invites me into like, okay, stop for a moment.
And actually, in my journey of cooking, because I didn't like cooking in the beginning, and it's something that I grew into, and it's not just like you get used to it. It's it is a mindset shift. Okay, that really
Yes.
allows you to shift from, oh, I'm just not that kind of a person, and or I hate cooking. I'd rather, to loving it and having it be such a nourishing part of your life. Um, I think I lost my train of thought here, but
Yeah, no, just about being able to sit and pause, right? Instead of
yeah,
like, like, because cooking, especially as you're talking now about kind of slowing down. And
mm,
I have a story about this that I'll share in a moment, as you go through the food
yeah,
parts, about
yes,
the pace of your cooking. But
yes.
yes, as you started to cook more, you have enjoyed kind of slowing down with it. It
Yeah, and
sounds like
oh yes, what I wanted to say was, so when I didn't like it, it was all about fast, fast, fast. And actually it wasn't so fast because everything would burn and I had to start over.
gosh, I know that
Or
all too
or
well.
pick up the phone and order something in or something like that. It's not,
That
fast,
never happens to
fast,
me.
fast isn't fast. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
actually not only that, but it's less likely to give you the nourishment and the energy, sustained energy that you need. So even though that part felt fast and you didn't burn it, then you feel it later after you eat or something, and it's
Yeah.
just not fast. So that's what I want to say about it.
Right, right. I discovered this with eating too, because a lot of times I'm like eating while I'm working or eating or what I had been doing, but it's I discovered like actually just sitting down to eat, it doesn't actually take that long to really just sit and enjoy the meal and then go back to what I was doing, instead of like, oh, I got to do this now, so I got to like eat while I'm doing something. Like just even take 5 minutes to like sit and enjoy your food. You know,
Yes,
it can
yes.
be done that way, and that's a slow down. Five
It's a
minutes.
slowdown, and
Yeah,
that's probably the most powerful anti-inflammatory.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
Uh,
let's talk about the rest of golden milk.
yes.
What are the
Oh, I think
benefits of?
that's it for
Wait,
golden
wait.
milk.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
that was it,
and
right? The
we'll share these.
anti-inflammatory.
You'll have an
Yeah,
opportunity to get these recipes and everything that we talk about from us, so you don't have to like sit here and like figure out. Okay, I don't know what she just said, so it'll be
absolutely.
there for you. Um, a great
And
thing.
do ask questions in the comments if anything comes up for you as we talk through any of this. Go ahead.
A great thing to have, especially for breakfast, can be, and I've had this for dinner as well, stewed fruit. I know that some may not like stewed fruit, and for those, I also would say, which I'm not going to talk about today, just yesterday's soup, a simple miso that you
Mhm.
can make in 5 minutes, that kind of thing. Just plain consomme, if you want to just throw in a couple of cubes of tofu or something like that, that is fine. But stewed fruit is really quite special if you like fruit and if you like cooked fruit. You just need, for me, I just take one apple and one pear, I peel and I dice them, and then I add them to a small pan with like a tablespoon of water, like just like a of water. And I love ginger. And I think to me in the stewed food, the more the better, but start somewhere and just chop up ginger and throw it in there, add a sprinkle of cardamom or cinnamon, and you could even add a little bit of ghee in there if you really want to make it rich, and uh just turn it up, watch the water. I mean, it's only a tablespoon of water. Just kind of watch everything heat up and then simmer it and cover it. And in 5 minutes, it should be tender enough that you can just kind of easily mash with a fork, and you just mash the whole thing with a fork and eat. And it is so good. And that ginger just gives it that heat.
Mm,
Um, and ginger is great for the season, as the seasons and the cold coming in starts to make us feel like we're getting sick all the time, and the kids going to school, well, everything, like all the things that happen, and the rush of the holidays that are upcoming, all those things causes sometimes our immune system, if we're not careful, to get compromised. And the ginger just kind of takes care of everything. It just feels like whatever's going on in there just kills it. You know what I mean? And it's
yes,
amazing. And the heat is, I just find that is like the secret ingredient to the recipe. And it's a great
yes.
thing to have in the morning. It doesn't take that long. Again, don't rush it though, and just don't put it on high and leave it there thinking that you're going to have something great at the end, because that's not the
Well,
hack.
it is funny that you say that because one of the things that when I had first received this recipe about the stewed fruit, it had like all the options in it, like
Yes.
add this, add that, and I was like so many ingredients. And I'm someone who like is not hugely fond of the kitchen, and so I never made it, even though I like the taste of it. And like even as you're talking about, I'm like, first of all, what says fall but like apples, right? And pears, right? And then this idea of the warming ginger, like I can feel that in my body. It just is so soothing, and that the little spice really gives it that
Cloves
fall
also
feeling.
works if you want to throw a clove in there, or like just a little
Ooh,
bit.
yeah.
Cinnamon, super. Also, like if you're like, I have to have my toast, add ghee, and cinnamon. And well, I'm actually saying that as a kind of an aside. The
Yeah.
cinnamon in the fruit, cinnamon is very heating. It's
Yes.
warming. It warms your
Yes.
body. So it's great. So like if you're gonna have like oatmeal's another one, just throw cinnamon in there. And
Right.
ghee. Ghee is grounding. It's
I
grounding.
love to put those in my coffee as well.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so cinnamon and ghee are very grounding, and they're warming.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing to add. If you're insisting on having toast, for instance, and also to your stewed fruit. It just
Yeah.
really wonders. So play with it and
But
see what feels good.
the basic of just having the fruit chopped up and water and then warming it, and that's basically all it is
Mhm.
really easy.
Super
But
easy.
yeah, so but when you think about like all of the ingredients, like I had a friend tell me like, oh, she would wake up in the morning, go down to the kitchen, chip, 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 throw it in the oven, and then like go back and brush her teeth. So this is kind of the fast version that we're suggesting you don't do.
Yeah.
But
What I'm going
it
to say
did
about
make it
that. Yeah.
possible for me to think of it that, like, oh, it's so easy. Gosh, it is just fruit and water. All the other stuff is just
Yes.
the added stuff that makes it even better.
And since you mentioned it, what I do want to
Yeah,
add in there,
yeah,
when you're cooking,
yeah.
do not leave the kitchen. Okay. I want you to look at it like this. Okay. When you're in meditation, you wouldn't leave to do something in the middle of meditation. I hope not. Okay. I know that people do. Here's what you never do: when you're getting a massage for an hour, you don't get up in the middle of the massage to do a quick text.
True.
Okay. Or to leave and say, hey, maybe if you really have to go to the bathroom, maybe if you really have to pee, say, I'm sorry, I gotta go pee. But aside from that, we typically stay on the table. Okay. Anything that has to
Mm,
that you think of that's so urgent, arguably urgent, it has to wait. And this is a really great way to look at cooking as getting a massage, because really you're giving yourself an internal massage, and internal it's
mm.
more nourishing, and it will take you much further than an actual massage. And I'm not dismissing massages. I think they're fantastic. If you have a good
Yeah. And then at the end of it, you have this delicious, nourishing meal
Mhm.
that is even further nourished by the fact that you gave it love and attention.
It's amazing. That's the secret sauce, of that extra love and attention.
Yeah.
And just tell yourself it can wait.
And that it's a massage. I love that. What a gift to yourself. And you
Yes.
can do this 3 times a day or more.
Yes.
Yes.
3 times a day. That's good.
Okay. All
Um,
right. So
so
anyway,
the final thing, which
yeah.
is the longer cook is the slow cook is the kitchery. And I've been talking about this a lot lately. Because I just want everyone to know how amazing it is. And it is true medicine, but it's also true, it's a true treat. Okay. Um, you can have something that tastes great going down, and if it's not great afterwards, is it really a treat? Is the question. Like, am I treating myself
Mm,
to what am I treating myself to,
right.
And so this is the truest treat. And it's so flexible, and you can work with this. It can look every single time you make it, it can be different. It could be um, kind of like rice, with a lot less water, with that's mixed with beans and vegetables. And or it can be porridgey, or it could be just super soupy. And actually, the soupier it gets, actually, the more healing it is for you. If you're feeling
Mm,
sick, you wanna make it soupier and soupier. And we're not just talking about any rice and beans. We're talking about basmati rice and mung dal beans. And those are two of and when I'm talking about white basmati rice, because we're talking about um, a form that is the most digestible.
mm,
Okay.
yes.
And these are the most digestible rice and beans, and the two together. And usually I do uh, 1 to 2 ratio of rice and beans. So if I usually do a half cup rice and a cup of the mung dal.
Ah,
But you can do one
okay.
to one if
Mhm.
especially if you're just like, I just need more rice, And these two create a complete protein. The two together come together with what they both have in the form of amino acids
Mm,
to create the complete amino acids that you need in your body, the protein that you need
fascinating.
in your body.
Can I interject? Can I ask here? And maybe you're going to get to this, but like, if you're doing something like a keto diet, where maybe you don't want all the like the carbs of the rice. Does this? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, and I've done both. I mean, I've been vegetarian and I've done keto. I've done all that. So the question is, why are you doing the keto diet? And also
Okay.
the reason for doing keto.
Mm,
Like it sounds the same, right? Why are you doing it? Are you trying to lose weight fast right now, and why? And also it's also customized to the person, because usually what I say is, yeah, you can do the keto diet. If you're trying to lose weight, you can also do the keto diet if you're trying to maintain it. Those are two different reasons, right?
yeah.
There might be other reasons, but those are the two big ones. And uh what Kitchery does, that what I say, and this is what I offer when someone subscribes to my Substack to Food is Medicine, is you're going to start with the Kitchery, the digestion and energy reset. Okay.
Hmm.
Because what this does is it resets your digestion. Usually if we're feeling low on energy, if we're feeling our head is foggy, if we have just digestive issues, if we have any kind of actual issues physically, like in terms of constantly getting sick, everything starts with the digestion. Okay.
Yes,
And
true.
it doesn't matter how well you eat in any other way, keto, raw, or anything else. If your digestion can't digest the food, it's not going to work for you. It's just going to sit there. And then some people will say, well, I tried the keto diet and it doesn't work. Or like there's other issues that's going on mentally, physically. So what I always say is do this to get your digestion back on track.
Mm,
Okay. And I'm not even going to say, like, in terms of keto, usually we look at net carbs. I honestly have never checked to see what the net carbs are on Kitchery. Um, and if you're trying to lose weight, I would always recommend that you fix your digestion first. And this is a good way to reset it. And
fantastic. Yeah.
and then that in itself, it's much more sustainable, and that in itself can fix your issue that causes you to
Mm,
want to do keto, or now you have created the foundation for a successful keto diet. hope
Mm.
that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing that insight, because I know you've had experience with keto and with obviously the healing that Kitchery does. So please go ahead with the Kitchery then. Like
Yeah.
you were saying that it could be soupy or less soupy.
So we offer the recipe. If you sign up for my newsletter, then you'll get it right in your inbox with the how-tos and all of that stuff in great detail so that all your questions are answered. So it's right there. So just
Okay.
sign up. You don't even have to pay for it. It's free. Sign up, you get it. You'll get all the information.
Yeah, I highly recommend that. And Food is Medicine, Savitri really breaks things down in a very clear and meaningful way. But Kitchery, just to finish this off, is the base is rice and mung dal beans, and
And then you'll add the spices, okay, which is
spices.
also
Okay.
digestive.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to add the water and how much water you add in. So if I do a half cup of rice and a cup of mung dal, then usually I start with about 6 cups of water and I may be adding more as I go. Okay.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm going to make mine at the very least porridgey. And believe me, it's just porridgey just by making the 6 cups of water. It doesn't even get soupy. I'd have to add more to make it soupy.
And how long do you cook this for?
So let me just go with this. So basically then on the side, as it's coming to a boil, I make what's called chunk. And I have or sometimes I actually start with it actually in the pot and then do it, or I just throw it in afterwards. And what that is I heat up some ghee and then I add in some mustard seeds and coriander seeds and cumin seeds and fennel seeds. Those are what I do. You don't have to do them
Mm.
all. And then I wait for the mustard seed to pop and I know that it's bloomed, everything has come together. And then I add it to my pot of the rice, beans, and water. Or sometimes I start with it and then add the cleaned rice and beans and the water to it. You can do it either way.
I just want to share that this is my favorite part of Kitchery.
It is.
This seasoning adds so much flavor. It is unbelievable, and
You can't skip it.
it just tastes so good. And then you also smell, like the smell of butter, right? Cooking butter. I mean, it's ghee, so it's cleaner. But just the smell of that in your kitchen, I'm like immediately like,
Yes. Yeah.
this is so good. But to
So
feel how nourishing and intentional it is,
it's so fun. It's the fun part of it. It's the best part of it. And then the other part, so that's the base. The other part that I would say is pretty good, especially if you're trying to heal, is get that ginger in there, chop up the ginger and throw it in there. Okay.
mm,
And cook it with it. And then let it have it come to a boil and then you can simmer it. And I'm gonna say 40 minutes. You could probably do it for a half hour, but you just play with it and see how it is. The other thing I do often is I throw in some vegetables. It's not like you must have this vegetable. I've done cauliflower, broccoli, kale, green beans, a combination of some of those,
mm.
zucchini. You can do a lot of those vegetables and just choose your vegetable. Carrots are really great in there. Just cut them thin so that they get al dente by the time it's all done.
Yeah.
Um, and then as you check on it, then you're going to decide if you need to add more water to it or not as it cooks. And you want it soft. You want it soft. So it's a slow cook. You don't want to rush this process. Light your candle, have some music playing, some spa music playing, and just infuse it with a lot of love and intention. And when you're done, you can then pour it into a bowl. You scoop some into a bowl, and I like to often drizzle a little bit of Bragg's amino acids into it.
So good.
I would say, skip it if you're doing a cleanse, but if you're not and you just want to have a nice fall one pot meal, this is really great. And I've seen people do other things like just throw in, some cayenne and some jardinera and stuff like that. Now that would not be cleansing, but I'm just saying, if you have a lot of pitta in you, and you have too much of it and you're trying to balance it out, don't do that. You don't have to add
Mhm.
more heat, it will aggravate you. So yeah, and also yeah, sprig of or just a little bit of cilantro can be good. Cilantro is cooling, but with its overall with this it just flavor profile, it works really well. And overall the bowl is warming.
Mm.
So
Oh,
that works as well.
I want some right now.
It's not
So
like
now, just to be clear, as we're talking about not leaving the kitchen as you're cooking, share a little bit this for this one. You can let it sit and simmer and go do some things. Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about, some things. If you're going to, like, for instance, my kitchen is downstairs. My writing place is upstairs. I'm not going to do this and simmer and then go upstairs to my writing place, because it will stick to I will come down to a pot with everything stuck to the pot bottom, and so I'm a proponent of still stay in the kitchen.
Do your work there.
Um,
Do whatever you need to do there. Yep.
if you need to, this
Yeah.
might be a time. I mean, just be careful. Just be careful. This is also a time, it's amazing what you can do in the kitchen that needs to be done in the kitchen. For
Hmm.
instance, cleaning up after yourself,
Yep.
putting things back, organizing your utensil drawer, wiping down a counter in your refrigerator, checking your inventory in the refrigerator, what's for dinner, that kind of stuff. What's like
Mm.
make your shopping. There are things that you need to do in the kitchen that you can do that is food related, that keeps everything, and like if you start watching the news, for instance, you start turning it on, that energy is there, and now you're stirring it into the and checking into the there. And so I just be
Yeah.
careful about those things. There are a lot of we can get creative in a lot of ways, and some can be bad and some can be good. There are good ways to do it. When you're in the kitchen, be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
When I say that, yes, you can multitask technically, but you can multitask kitchen things that need to be done.
Yeah.
And that's what I would recommend first. I will have conversations with my significant other who's in the kitchen with me while I'm cooking. There are things, it doesn't mean you can't pick up your text and respond to your text. Just don't get into this kind of other world is
Yes.
the thing.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Same
Yeah,
for
and I think this is an invitation, right? To really, and maybe this takes a little time if you are someone who's kind of like constantly multitasking, constantly like, I have to get this done, you know, is to invite this idea of slowing down and let this be, like you said, a massage, and let it become a practice that actually, like you said, faster is not always faster, sometimes slower is faster, and like and doing all of that and just all of the healing that's happening, all the intention that's happening. And is there anything else you wanted to say about the kitchery, because I wanted to move us then.
No, I know that's it for Kitchery.
Okay, great.
And I just say just inner balance, and this will give it to you. It is the hack. The slow is the hack. That's all I want to say about that.
Slow
It's
is the hack.
slow's the fast. The slow way is the fast way, and it's the anti-inflammatory.
Mm,
Okay.
I love that. Okay, so thank you for sharing all of that. And why are we talking about all of this, right? Just a reminder, we're doing this fall check-in to really get us to this season and to be able to take us in a healing, nourishing, powerful way, right? And it starts with our digestion, because our digestion kind of rules everything, right? I mean, when you're feeling crappy, you're feeling it in your gut, you're feeling, achy or sluggish, as you had said, life doesn't go the way you want it to. You're not thinking clearly. Um, you you don't have the energy that you need. So as we move into fall and as we talk about like the hurriedness and the dryness and the air, um, food is a great first place to start, because we want to think about digestion. And Savitri, you mentioned it already. this idea of like other things that we're also digesting, right? That is things going on in the world, things going on in your life, right? How are we digesting it? And we can bring in the same concepts, um, feeling into what you're feeling as you're digesting, right? And making sure that you do the things that you want to do to make your digestion powerful. Um, we're going to move into talking a little bit about movement during this time of year and what movement. So these foods are really good for resetting your digestion and to setting your base up for uh, a for well-being, right? So as we move as we move into our movement, and what is powerful and necessary for us to move into this season in a healing way. um, I kind of lost my train of thought here, but it was really about this idea of digestion and how we take things in. And in the fall, we're going to get a little bit into this a little bit later, but you know, this is a time where we're harvesting. We talked about food, and the farmers are harvesting, and it's all about being in tune with nature. And so we talk a lot about farmers and agriculture because they necessarily are in line with nature. So at this time, as we think about harvesting, um, not only the foods, but we can think back to like what we've gone through this entire year and what are we harvesting. Switcher and I had talked in the spring about how we seed what we want for this year. And this may be jumping a little bit ahead about our mindset, but I just want to kind of tie it all together. Um, we had an idea for how this year might look, right? We seeded these ideas. We planted those seeds. We did the things that we needed to do to manifest what we wanted to manifest this year, right? The goals we wanted to attain. We moved through the planting it, tending to it, and then in the summer we really tended to it and allowed nature to do its work and grow. And we can see the fruits of our labor happening, right? And at this time now in fall, it's the time to really reap what we harvest and digest it, right? And some of these things will have worked, some of these things will have not worked, right? And noticing, taking this time to move into the season and reflecting back on what you have accomplished. Because a lot of times we get to this place where we're like, God, it's already almost the end of the year. And I didn't get all this stuff done that I wanted to get done. This didn't happen. This didn't happen. And we kind of tend to focus on the things that didn't happen. But if you take a moment to reflect back on the things that did happen, the things that did work, and even if you feel like it wasn't a lot of things that worked, just in case that's you, I just want to invite the fact that, the look back to see what you learned. Why did that happen? Why did I end up where I'm at today? Um, Taking the time to look back and then take the lessons from it is digestible, is what you want to digest, right? And then you want to let go. So we're going to talk about a little movement, and we'll come back to this idea of kind of looking back, and getting our mindset right. Um, but I want to share a little bit about what we want to do in terms of movement, our physical body, helping our energy along with this whole digestion process. We're going to start with the breath of fire. So, Vichy, do you want to talk a little bit about the breath of
Yeah,
fire?
sure.
Yeah.
So breath of fire really activates your digestive center, okay, your navel center area. And as Anna said, such could have said that um, your digestion is really about taking in the nourishment and being able to let go of the rest. Our body does that, right? It assimilates what we need and turns it as a part, makes it become a part, has it become a part of our cellular intelligence, and growth and healing. And then it just kind of helps poop out the rest, right? And so when everything is working well, everything is very regular, right? And then we're good, no indigestion, so to speak. And so breath of fire helps to stimulate that. And it's a rapid breath, but it's very rhythmic and rapid. Okay. And it actually sounds like this. And the pace of it is sort of like uh the dog, like a dog panting. So, and then close your mouth. And that's what it's like. And the thing is, it's happening when you're panting, it's happening really at your navel center. It's not up here. It's down here. And I emphasize this part of it right now, and I just need to call on that, is because I've been teaching breath for a long time, and 9 out of 10 people that have come in to see me come in not knowing how to breathe correctly. And most people breathe right here above the diaphragm in the
Yeah.
chest. So we're taught shallow breathing, and we're also reverse breathing. So we're breathing where we're inhaling and our body is going contracting toward the
Shrinking.
front, and then exhaling out. And it's the opposite. So you want to inhale and expand. So imagine that you're a balloon and the breath comes in, and of course the balloon expands. And then when you exhale, the balloon then would, I'm going to use the word collapse right now. You're not collapsing. You're just, your body's coming in towards the spine,
The
and
contracting.
make sure that your spine is tall. So when you first start, you want to kind of start, you want to make sure that you're doing that part correctly. So when you inhale and then exhale, make sure you're bringing that into your belly, and then you're expanding. When I say belly, I'm talking about just below the diaphragm. Okay, we're not talking about all the way down. We're talking about just below the diaphragm. That's where you need to take it, past the chest, below the diaphragm. And so panting usually gets you there.
Yeah, and if you're listening, I encourage you to just try it, right? Just pretend to pant like a dog. You can't help but feel it in your navel.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you do this, and you can do this, you can start this at like 30 seconds to a minute, and then you can build it up. And as a practice, you can do it for longer than 3 minutes, but like build up to 3 minutes, see what happens. It will come naturally to some of you, and for others, it's just, wow, this is really hard. But it's just a muscle, like everything else, that needs to be worked, that needs to be practiced, that needs to be
And
strengthened.
if you're looking for an actual demo that you can work with, please comment because I do have a demo I can share that really goes into this breath of fire. But as you're practicing this too, if you're trying to practice kind of on a slower pace, just always remember that when you exhale, you're pulling the navel in, and then the inhale just happens naturally. Your belly's going to release. Okay? So if you focus on exhale, navel comes in, and then slowly pick up the pace.
So aside from stimulating the digestive system, it also detoxes the body, and it heats up the body actually. So
Yes.
I was that Vata that just couldn't shake off the cold, and I would just have to. I did a lot of breath of fire. I'd get in the car, the cold car. We talked about summer and the heat, the oven car, and in the winter it could be, or as it gets colder, it could be like just cold, really cold in there. And I would not only start, turn my heat in the car, but I would just sit there at the steering wheel and just go.
Yes,
And
I've
it
done that too.
does heat up the body. It does heat it up. So, and it's really just a simple, powerful thing. And so just give it a shot. And then the next thing we're going to do then is a three posture, or 3 exercises that uses the breath of fire. And actually, if you're still learning the breath of fire and you want to do this at the same time, I would say start with a long, deep breath and then add the breath of fire to it if it's all feels too hard.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to mention, so like you said, the long deep breathing is important because the breath of fire is a sped up version of the long deep breathing. You still want to do the full breath, bringing to your belly, right? And so when you're doing the breath of fire, that needs to be done right because it will serve to cleanse your body. It will also give you energy and heat up the body. And as someone who is in many ice rinks as a hockey mom, I also know this. I use this as well. Yeah, someone might look and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" you know. But it's something that I could teach. If someone wants to warm up their body. but like you said, it helps speed up the digestion. It helps to really invigorate that piece, and it also helps with your strengthening your nervous system. And what I like about that too is I didn't mention earlier, but all of this talk about food and moving into all of this digestibility talk. Um, the phrase that they say, "You are what you eat." Um, the truth is that we have the system. We have our brain and we have our gut, and our gut is often called the second brain. Maybe it's our first brain. This is our second. Either way, they're communicating with each other through our vagus nerve, which is also called our soul nerve by some. And 80 to 90% of those fibers of the vagus nerve are communicating from the gut to the brain, not the other way around. So when they say you are what you eat, it is truly like if your digestion's not working, you're not working, you're sending those messages to the brain, right? If your digestion's powerful and it's working and it's online and it's, all of those things that happen from massaging yourself with, flow, with food, with all of that. That is the message you're sending to your brain. And how does that shift you?
Yes.
Right? So it's really, really powerful. And so when we talk about this breath of fire and we talk about, as Savitri said, there's a 3-part movement, a 3-part practice that you can do using the breath of fire that also, again, is great for this season as we're talking about digestibility. Because, and I'll just go ahead and start. The first exercise, which actually, would you mind, Savitri? I think you have the video, not the video, but a picture of what it looks like. Okay. So you'll see here, and again, if this is something that you want, we'll have a PDF available. You can comment, or I'll just have a link. Well, anyway, so you can look in the picture. The top picture is where we start, and this is called stretch pose. It is very it is a Kundalini exercise that shows up a lot, and it's a really powerful way to reset your navel and touch into that digestive, that third chakra area. This basically your digestive area, your digestive fire, and you're in this posture where you're lying flat on your back, as you can see in that top picture, and your lower back stays pressed down towards the earth, and you're lifting your head, your hands, your arms, and your legs up, looking down towards your toes, doing breath of fire. And you could do this for 20 seconds. You can do it for 10 seconds, 15 seconds to start, build up to doing it for a minute. Okay. And it will really reset your navel and, again, that inner balance. So we start there.
Yeah, and if you're not strong enough to lift both legs, you can do one leg at a time, by the way.
Yes. And I always say, if you're doing that too, but always really still feel that navel engagement, okay? So that you're doing something. You can even have both feet on the ground, feeling as though you're trying to lift it, even though you don't successfully lift it off the ground. You can feel that you're using your navel to give it lift, right? And so even if they're on the ground, you can do it that way as well. The only other thing that I usually offer in my yoga classes, if you need to help support your neck a little bit, you can take one arm and put it behind your head. Again, the picture here is showing an ideal, and then you work with that. Always want to make sure though that your lower back is pressed down towards the earth, and practice, right? Just do a short amount of time. And then you move right into, from here, this next picture of, you're curled up in a ball. This specifically works on your eliminative force. It's letting go of the things that aren't serving you, the things that have already, like maybe you've used up and, now you just have to discard what's left. Or the things that came in and you're like, that's not for me, let it go, right? This is the eliminative force. And again, you do breath of fire with this. Breath of fire, by the way, also serves to speed up the effects of each of these exercises. So it's a really powerful thing to do. So once again, if you're learning, you're practicing, first of all, do it for shorter time. Second of all, you can, start with long, deep breathing. We're still doing the pose that helps with the eliminative force. Breath of Fire just adds, right? Just adds that extra element. And then we finish with this last picture, you can see, with the arms up in a V, and we have our hands in a certain posture. I don't know if you can see me very well, but in the picture, you can see that the tops of the fingers are pressed down at the pads of your hands, the palms are open, and the thumb is straight out. And when you bring your arms up into a V, your thumbs are perpendicular to the sky. Okay? In this posture, we're doing Breath of Fire. We call this the ego eradicator. So really letting your ego take a back seat to your truth, your soul, your digestion, which knows, right, what's going on in your gut. It's that gut feeling, as we say, right? That is where you want your power to come from. And so we do this practice. This also helps to work your nervous system.
Yes.
Yeah. And so this is a
for-
great 3-part exercise that you can do. Mhm.
So the first one then stimulates and strengthens your digestive center, your Agni, your fire, and let's take that metaphysically as well. Not just digesting food, but digesting life. And the second one is your eliminative force, as Anna said, and that's your ability to let go. Just let go of the weeds. Okay, as we harvest, just let them go, and then and then the third exercise then is I don't really know if I like the word ego eradicator, but it's basically has the ego submit to our gut. Basically, we're talking
I
about
love
that.
that.
And
Submit to the
and that's what it is, to have it serve it, because what many of us are doing, we're actually serving our ego. So we want to flip that. We want to flip that script and have the ego serve our gut.
That's right. And I think this relates really well. First of all, before I forget, when you're doing those 3, and if you're doing a shorter time, just do equal amount of time for each. Okay? So 20, 20, 20 seconds each, or build up as you go. But what I really wanted to just, again, tying it all back together, this idea of taking in all that we've done, and allow and being aware of how we're digesting it. Are we digesting it? So that when you start with that awareness, you can feel it in your gut, right? And then you can let go of what's not serving you or what's been used up, and then come back to your center. So we talked a lot in the beginning about slowing things down. We're in the kitchen really fast, just wanting to get things done. And you end up starting to be in a little bit of a tizzy, right? And your mind is thinking like this too. But this is about, if you take the metaphor of this practice, it's about then coming back to your center, right? Slowing it down and listening. Okay, of all this stuff that I've made into a whirlwind, right? And I'm confusing myself, especially in this season of wind and air, where you really want to balance that. What is the heart of the matter? What is the thing that I want to reap, right? And this takes us into now our mindset. This is a season to reap and let go. The food discussion talks about this. Our movement discussion talks about this. Our mind wants to be in line with this, mind-body alignment, right? So we are reaping, we're taking in, as I mentioned a little bit ago, take the time to sit down and think about what your year has looked like. Think about what you had thought this year might be, and that the things that you had seeded and hoped for, right? This is not about judgment. It's about awareness. And when you're coming from a place of non-awareness, then you do things unconsciously. Or, there's a program running in the background that you're unaware of. And so you respond from a place of not knowing. But when you take a moment to look back and actually see, good or bad, what there is to see, from there you can respond from a much better place. You can learn lessons. You can take in the harvest and enjoy the fruits that came out beautifully, and then enjoy the lessons from the one that got rotten or didn't grow as big or didn't didn't grow at all, right? You can learn from those things, and those are things you're reaping also. But then you discard, the negative aspects of it. I don't know, that doesn't sound right either. But discard what isn't serving you anymore, right?
Yeah, and when you talk about negative aspects, everything is, like there can be this argument, is there really a good or a bad? There just
Right.
is, right? So, but let's just go with the negative aspects. They also create seeds.
Mm,
The things that
yes.
we um like, oh, this didn't turn out the way we wanted to, or I didn't do this well. Whatever that negativity is, you can flip that, and as opposed to dwelling into it and harboring on it and making that your reality, it's like, oh, okay, lesson learned, because I did something to show me something. Because sometimes that's the thing. It's not like, oh, that was a waste of time. No, it's only a waste of time if you just say that's what was a waste of time, and you see you get nothing from it. But
Right.
bear fruit. They bear fruit, and that's part of harvesting, is to harvest all of what you have. It's not just what came out beautifully. It's
Yes.
bearing fruit from the stuff that we feel like didn't just come out the way we think they should have come out.
Yes. And I'll add to that, you did something to show you that it didn't work, which is way more powerful, having not
Yes.
done it and not learned, and then always wonder, right, if that would have worked. And then, then you go into a cycle, a different kind of cycle, right? Of, I don't do anything, right? And really, you can kind of like applaud, like, oh, negative outcome, bad outcome, or good outcome. You did something to discover that it was bad or good, right? That it was, that it bore fruit, or it made, or it didn't, right? So, um, do the exercise of sitting and looking back. Do the look back and notice. I want to encourage you to really notice how you feel as you do the look back. And you can do this actually always noticing how it feels like when you do your movement, when you're doing your eating, when you're doing your cooking, right? Notice how you feel as you move through these activities. Um, Notice your thoughts without judgment and with a lot of curiosity, because from there you first of all you start to get to understand, like, oh, what do I feel about that? What does that mean? you know what is that telling me? And you're coming from a place of knowing instead of a place of unknown, because you didn't want to look at something like, I didn't do that thing, or I didn't. An example might be, I wanted to grow a garden and I planted the seeds, and then I completely didn't tend to it at all. And so now, like, and so now that everything's dead, like everything, like it doesn't look, and so that might be something that I'm like, instead of looking to see, well, God, how did I feel about that? Um, I, knowing how I felt about it, because this is somewhat of an actual example, a little bit, I can now look forward to planting the next seed differently, planting the mechanisms in place that will have me tend to it better. Things like that. It is a learn. It is, and it is not a negative. Um, and it's all about the inner balance, as we started with, right?
And actually, the inner balance is what allows you to be able to turn something negative into a seed, into a plant, and into a fruit. It is that inner balance that gives you choice.
Mm, yes, from which you decide from a place of clarity.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That feels really good, Savitri. Is there anything more you wanted to add about our fall check-in? Because I really want to, I want to encourage everyone to really like take in what we shared with you and see what lands. And if you have any questions, please do ask. Please do comment. And we're happy to share more if there is a question that came up. But if there's anything more to add, I want to end with our quotes.
I think, I think that's good. Yeah.
That's good. Okay, good. Okay, this is the quote that we have in our PDF. Autumn teaches us the beauty of letting go. Growth requires release. It's what the trees do.
You know, it's so amazing because as you started to say, teaches us letting go. I just looked out the window because there's a tree right outside my window, and the yellow leaves were just literally just raining down off the tree.
Let go.
And
Ah,
so I guess to add to that amazing quote is nature does reflect to us what we need to do. Uh,
yes,
the seasons.
yes, yes. And I just want to add that I want to share who gave that quote, but I cannot pronounce the name. K-A apostrophe A-L-A. Kaala? Kaala? Okay, I apologize if I pronounced that wrong, but I just wanted to make sure I shared that. Um,
And we will share this document with you. It's gonna be, yeah. And so just we'll let you know on the bottom of this recording how to get that.
yes. Thank you, Savitri. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing this space. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And happy fall.
Yes.
Go harvest and let go. Mwah. Sat Nam.